The day Earth made official contact with alien life should have been humanity's greatest achievement. Instead, it became the catalyst for the most unified response in human history. The United Earth Nations vessel Defender drifted gracefully toward the massive ring-shaped station. Inside the ship's observation deck, Ambassador William Hayes adjusted his formal uniform and took a deep breath. After decades of faint signals and mysterious sightings, humanity was about to meet the Galactic Council. Final approach in 3 minutes, Ambassador, Captain Susan Miller announced, her voice steady despite the historic moment. Hayes nodded. How's our team holding up? Nervous but ready. We've rehearsed this for months. The diplomatic team consisted of 12 specialists selected from Earth's brightest minds. They represented diverse fields: linguistics, biology, physics, culture, and military expertise. Captain Miller had been chosen for her calm demeanor and exceptional flight record. What none of them knew was that their mission was doomed before it began. The Defender docked with surprising ease. Council technology guided them precisely into position with magnetic fields that Earth scientists had only theorized about. As the airlock cycled, Hayes straightened his shoulders. Remember, he told his team, we represent all of humanity today. The council chamber stretched before them, a vast hall with curved walls that rose hundreds of feet. Floating platforms held representatives from dozens of alien species. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied easy description. The air filled with translation devices buzzing softly. A tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms approached. Welcome, Earth delegation. I am Zelthar, Council Facilitator. You will be seated in the Observer section. Jack Bennett, the Communications Officer, frowned at his translation device. Something in the alien's tone didn't match the polite words. The humans were led to a small platform significantly lower than the others. Hayes didn't miss the symbolism but maintained his diplomatic smile. The council session began with species rising to introduce themselves, the Viridians, with their crystalline bodies that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. The Zoltar Imperium, whose representatives wore mechanical exoskeletons that amplified their movements. Dozens more, each clearly advanced beyond Earth's technology. When Hayes stood to speak, several council members visibly shifted away. Honored representatives, Hayes began. Earth extends friendship and looks forward to peaceful exchange of... The human speaks of peace, interrupted a Zoltar representative. Yet their transmission signals are filled with violence. Their fiction celebrates war. Their history is bloodshed. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Hayes remained calm. We don't hide our past mistakes. But humanity has evolved. United Earth represents our commitment to peaceful cooperation. Zelthar raised all 4 hands. The Council has reviewed Earth's application for membership. Our assessment concludes your species requires further development before integration. What does that mean exactly? Hayes asked. Protective quarantine, a Viridian answered. Crystal, face glinting coldly. 300 cycles minimum. No space travel beyond your solar system. Limited technology transfer under supervision. Miller stepped forward. That's not reasonable. We've already established colonies on Mars and your colonies will be permitted to remain, Zelthar said dismissively, but expansion stops now. Bennett noticed several council species exchanging looks. This hadn't been a negotiation. They'd decided Earth's fate before the humans arrived. Hayes tried again. We request time to consult with our government before the decision is made, and the Zoltar representative cut in. Earth's development path is too aggressive. Your weapons advancement curve exceeds acceptable parameters. We came in peace, Hayes insisted, voice rising slightly. We've brought no weapons aboard this station. The council chamber grew quiet. Too quiet. A regrettable miscalculation, Zelthar said softly. The Council protects galactic stability. History shows species like yours eventually threaten that stability. Bennett's translation device picked up side communications between Council members. His blood ran cold as he deciphered the meaning. Ambassador, he whispered urgently. We need to leave now. Hayes glanced at him, confused. They're not negotiating, Bennett continued, voice low. This is a show, they've already... The station shuddered as alarms blared. A holographic display appeared, showing Zoltar warships surrounding the Defender. What is the meaning of this? Hayes demanded. Preventative measures, the Zoltar representative stated flatly. Your vessel contains banned technology. That's impossible, Miller argued. Your scanners cleared us for docking. Zoltar's expression remained neutral. The Council appreciates your cooperation in this demonstration. Before Hayes could respond, the display showed energy weapons firing. The Defender exploded in silent brilliance. Our crew, Miller shouted. There were 24 people still aboard. Unfortunate, Zoltar noted, but necessary. Bennett grabbed Hayes's arm. Ambassador, the shuttle bay is 2 levels down. We need to move. Hayes stood frozen, shock giving way to understanding. This was never about diplomacy. The Council has contained potential threats before, Zoltar stated. Your species will be safer under guidance. Guards appeared at the chamber entrances, weapons drawn. Run, Miller ordered, pulling out a small device from her pocket. She crushed it in her hand, releasing a blinding flash that disoriented the closest guards. The humans fled, racing through corridors as alarms echoed around them. 3 diplomats fell to energy weapons. Hayes took a blast to his shoulder but kept moving. Bennett led them to a maintenance shaft. This way. I memorized the station schematics. Only 7 humans reached the shuttle bay. As they boarded their small craft, Council forces converged on their position. Can you fly this? Hayes asked Miller, clutching his wounded shoulder. Watch me, she replied, hands flying over controls. The shuttle burst from the bay doors, engines screaming as Miller pushed them beyond safety limits. 2 Zoltar pursuit craft launched, weapons charging. We'll never outrun them, a scientist cried. Bennett accessed the communications array. Maybe we don't have to. He transmitted a specific frequency burst that caused the pursuing ships to momentarily lose power, a weakness he'd noticed in their systems during approach. The delay was enough. Miller executed a desperate jump to faster-than-light travel dangerously close to the station's gravity well. As stars stretched into light streaks around them, the survivors huddled in shocked silence. 6 days later, the damaged shuttle limped, back to Earth with only 5 humans still alive. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Nations that had been rivals for centuries united in outrage. The attack wasn't just on a ship, it was on humanity itself. In an emergency session, the United Earth Council voted unanimously for a response. But not the hasty retaliation the Galactic Council might have expected. Earth would remember. Earth would prepare. And when the time came, the galaxy would learn that humans were not so easily dismissed. In the years that followed, the Galactic Council recorded the incident as regrettable but necessary containment of a volatile species. They believed Earth suitably cowed and contained. They were wrong. 5 years passed since the Galactic Council attacked Earth's diplomatic mission. To outside observers, humanity appeared to have accepted their fate. Council spy drones that occasionally flew past Earth's orbit reported a planet focused inward, rebuilding its cities and tending to internal affairs. The Galactic Council grew comfortable with their assessment. Earth had been properly intimidated. They were catastrophically wrong. In an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Defense Director Patricia Watson studied the holographic display showing Earth's secret fleet. The room hummed with activity as technicians monitored construction progress happening throughout the solar system. Status report, she requested, voice calm despite the weight of responsibility she carried. A young officer approached. Asteroid Belt shipyards at 93% capacity, Director. Jupiter Shadow Fleet is complete and running final system checks. Watson nodded. And Project Mirror? Dr. Cooper reports success in the latest test. The shield technology can now absorb and redirect energy attacks with 87% efficiency. This was the heart of Operation Silent Judgment, humanity's carefully orchestrated response to the Council's aggression. For 5 years, Earth had united with a single purpose: Old enemies became allies, pooling resources and knowledge toward a common goal. Major Jack Bennett entered the command center, now walking with a slight limp from injuries sustained during his escape. As one of the few survivors, he had become a symbol of humanity's resolve. "You look tired, Jack," Watson observed. "So would you if you'd been reverse engineering alien tech for 5 years," he replied with a thin smile. "But it's paying off. The communication interceptors are working better than expected." Bennett's team had created devices that could tap into the Council's transmission network. For months, they had gathered intelligence, mapping Council defenses and discovering critical weaknesses. "What's the latest from our spy?" Watson asked. Bennett activated a secure channel on his tablet. "Lisa's last transmission came 3 hours ago. The Council's centennial gathering is confirmed. All 87 member species will send representatives to Nexus Prime." Lisa Anderson had undergone extensive genetic modification to pass as a minor Council service species. For 2 years, she had worked within the Council's central station, becoming invisible to the arrogant elite while gathering crucial information. "And they still have no idea," Watson confirmed. "None. Their arrogance blinds them. They believe no primitive species could advance this quickly. Their security scans look for known weapon signatures, not our new technology." In a massive hangar beneath the Martian surface, Admiral George Franklin inspected the flagship of humanity's hidden fleet. The UEN Vindicator gleamed under the harsh lights, its hull incorporating materials and designs unknown to the Council. "The pulse cannons are installed on all primary vessels," reported Commander Kevin Rogers. "Simulations show they'll disable Council shields with minimal energy expenditure." Franklin ran his hand along the smooth metal of the ship. "Have the crews reviewed the battle plans?" "Repeatedly, sir. Every pilot, every gunner, every engineer knows exactly what to do when we arrive." The Admiral nodded. "Humanity gets one chance at this. We can't afford mistakes." What made Earth's response possible was the Council's fatal error, underestimating human ingenuity and resolve. The attack had united humanity in unprecedented ways. Nations shared technology, resources flowed freely, and the brightest minds worked tirelessly toward one goal. In a laboratory complex beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Alan Cooper watched as his team tested the revolutionary shield technology. Energy beams hit the experimental shield, which absorbed the attack, then channeled it into the ship's weapon system. "Perfect," Cooper muttered as the reading stabilized. "The Council's weapons will literally power our counterattack." His assistant, Dr. Karen Wilson, checked the final calculations. "The energy conversion rate exceeds our targets. Their standard weapons won't penetrate our defenses. And they won't have time to adapt," Cooper added. "The first stage of the battle will be over before they understand what's happening." Across Earth and throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity prepared. Shipyards hidden within hollowed-out asteroids constructed vessels designed specifically to counter Council technology. Training facilities on Mars' far side prepared soldiers for combat against various alien physiologies. Research labs developed weapons that targeted specific weaknesses in Council defenses. At the Pentagon, world leaders gathered for the final briefing before launch. The room fell silent as Director Watson took the podium. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council murdered our diplomats and declared humanity unfit for the stars," she began. "They expected us to accept their judgment, to remain contained within our solar system while they decided our fate." She activated a display showing the Nexus Prime station, the heart of Council power. "In 3 days, their leadership gathers for their centennial ceremony. Every species that supported the attack on our people will be present. They believe themselves untouchable." A different image appeared. Earth's hidden fleet, hundreds of ships ready for departure. Operation Reckoning Dawn is now active. "Admiral, Franklin will lead our forces to Nexus Prime. Our objectives remain clear. Minimal casualties, maximum impact. We want justice, not vengeance." In orbit around Jupiter, the fleet made final preparations. The massive ships had remained hidden from Council observation, shielded by Jupiter's radiation and sophisticated cloaking technology. They represented humanity's greatest achievement. Built in secret, powered by technology the Council believed, beyond human capability. Major Bennett joined Admiral Franklin on the Vindicator's bridge. Last transmission from Lisa confirms Council security remains unchanged. Their arrogance will be their downfall. Franklin addressed the fleet's commanders through a secure channel. For 5 years, we've prepared while maintaining the illusion of submission. The Council believes us cowed, broken, and contained. When we arrive at Nexus Prime, that illusion shatters. Throughout the fleet, crews made ready. They carried with them the names of those lost in the initial attack, a reminder of why they fought. In her underground office, Director Watson received the message she had been waiting for. Fleet departure successful. All ships away. She closed, her eyes briefly. Earth had committed everything to this response. There was no turning back. The Council had taught humanity a harsh lesson 5 years ago. Now, it was humanity's turn to teach the Council about underestimating a supposedly primitive species. The reckoning was coming. The artificial world of Nexus Prime glowed like a jewel against the darkness of space. Built at the junction of 7 major trade routes, the massive station served as the heart of Galactic Council operations. Today, it buzzed with activity as representatives from all 87 member species gathered for the centennial celebration. In the Grand Chamber, High Commander Drezistal of the Viridian Collective addressed the assembled dignitaries. His crystalline body reflected light in dazzling patterns as he gestured dramatically. 100 cycles of peace under Council guidance, he proclaimed. Our wisdom has prevented countless conflicts and guided developing worlds toward proper integration. The gathered representatives murmured in agreement. On raised platforms throughout the chamber, diplomats and leaders from across the galaxy watched with satisfaction. Their civilization had endured for millennia, their authority unchallenged. We have successfully contained potential threats, Dreztal continued, his voice echoing through the vast hall. Species with concerning development patterns have been appropriately managed. A holographic display activated behind him, showing various worlds under Council supervision. Earth appeared briefly among them, looking peaceful and contained. The human situation was handled with necessary firmness, Drezistal stated. Their quarantine continues without incident. Our observers report they have accepted their proper place. Across the chamber, Zelthar nodded in approval. The four-armed diplomat had personally overseen Earth's classification as a restricted world. He considered it one of his crowning achievements. None of them noticed the subtle vibration that rippled through the station's superstructure. None of them recognized the momentary flicker in the security systems as external sensors briefly went offline. In the station's control center, a junior technician frowned at her display. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings at the outer perimeter." Her supervisor barely glanced at the screen. "Probably ceremonial vessels arriving late. Run standard protocols. But the signature doesn't match any registered council." The rest of her sentence died in her throat as alarms suddenly blared. The main screen switched to external view, showing dozens of ships materializing from what appeared to be impossible jump points directly within Nexus Prime's security perimeter. "Unidentified fleet," she shouted. "Multiple vessels, unknown configuration." The supervisor stared in shock. "That's impossible. No ship can jump that close to our gravity well." In the Grand Chamber, the celebration faltered as emergency signals interrupted Dreztal's speech. Before anyone could react, every communication device in the station activated simultaneously, broadcasting the same message. "Attention Galactic Council. This is Admiral George Franklin of the United Earth Fleet. We remember. We have come for justice." Panic erupted throughout the chamber. Council security forces rushed to defensive positions as the enormous view screens showed Earth ships positioning themselves around the station with precision that should have been beyond human capability. Zelthar pushed his way to a communication terminal. "This is Council Facilitator Zelthar. Human vessels, you are in violation of quarantine restrictions. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." The reply came instantly. "Facilitator Zelthar, your voice was the last thing Ambassador Hayes heard before your forces murdered our diplomats. Your judgment has been recorded." On the bridge of the UN Vindicator, Admiral Franklin watched as Council defense platforms activated around Nexus Prime. Right on schedule, he noted calmly. Major Bennett, you may proceed. Bennett activated the specialized transmission developed from 5 years of studying Council technology. The signal spread through space, targeting specific frequencies used by Council weapon systems. Across Nexus Prime, defense platforms suddenly went dark. Council ships that had begun to move into protective positions found their weapon systems unresponsive. Phase 1 complete, Bennett reported. Their primary defenses are neutralized. Franklin nodded. Lieutenant Garcia, deploy boarding teams. Lieutenant Nancy Garcia led the assault team from the transport bay of the Vindicator. Her squad wore advanced combat suits designed specifically for this mission. Each soldier carried non-lethal weapons. This was about justice, not slaughter. Remember your training, she told her team as their transport pods launched toward Nexus Prime. Precision targeting only. We want the leadership, not casualties. The pods penetrated the station's emergency shields using frequencies provided by Lisa Anderson, Earth spy who had worked undetected within Council ranks for years. Garcia's team breached the outer hull and moved with practiced efficiency through the station's corridors. Council security forces attempted to respond but found themselves outmatched. The humans moved with unexpected speed and coordination, using technology that neutralized Council weapons while preserving station integrity. In the Grand Chamber, panic had given way to chaos. Council representatives scrambled to escape as human forces systematically sealed all exits. This is impossible, Drezital hissed as he watched security monitors show human teams taking control of critical systems throughout the station. They were contained. They were primitive. Zelthar stared at the screens in disbelief. How could they advance so quickly? This technology should be beyond them for centuries. The chamber doors slid open. Lieutenant Garcia entered with her team, weapons ready but not firing. Behind them came Admiral Franklin and Major Bennett. Council High Commander Drezital, Franklin announced, his voice carrying across the now silent chamber. By authority of United Earth, you and your leadership council are hereby detained for crimes against humanity. Drezital's crystalline form pulsed with anger. This outrage will not stand. Council defense fleets will reduce your world to ash for this. Bennett stepped forward, limping slightly. Your defense fleets are currently disabled by the same technology you dismissed as beyond human capability. I suggest you check your tactical displays. Throughout Council space, reports flooded in of Earth ships neutralizing military vessels, without destroying them. Key defense installations found their systems temporarily disabled by targeted electromagnetic pulses. On the main view screen, Director Patricia Watson appeared, speaking from Earth Command. To all Council worlds receiving this transmission, this is not an invasion. This is justice. 5 years ago, your leaders murdered our diplomats without provocation. Today, we demonstrate that humanity will not be dismissed or contained. In night, the station's detention center, Garcia's team processed the captured Council leadership. Among them was Zelthar, who stared at the humans with a mixture of fear and disbelief. How? He finally asked Bennett, who supervised the detention. How did you advance so quickly? Bennett studied the alien who had so casually sentenced humanity to containment. You gave us the greatest gift possible, he replied. You united us against a common enemy. Centuries of human conflict ended the day you attacked our ship. Throughout the station, human forces secured critical systems while treating all non-combatants with respect. Medical teams attended to the few injuries that occurred during the takeover. Station is secure, Admiral, Garcia reported. Minimal. Resistance, no fatalities. Franklin nodded with satisfaction. Begin Phase 3, prepare for the broadcast. As human technicians prepared the station's powerful communication array for a galaxy-wide transmission, the Council species began to understand the full extent of their miscalculation. They had dismissed humanity as primitive, only to find themselves outmaneuvered by the very species they had condemned. The reckoning had arrived. The Grand Chamber of Nexus Prime had been transformed. What once served as the seat of galactic council power now functioned as a courtroom. Beings from across the galaxy watched through countless transmission feeds as Chief Justice Daniel White opened the proceedings. "This tribunal is now in session," White announced, his voice calm but firm. "Let the record show that this is not a human court imposing human standards. We have structured these proceedings according to the Council's own legal framework, the mine." Irony was not lost on the watching species. Humans, dismissed as primitive barbarians, now use the Council's legal system to hold its leadership accountable. At the center of the chamber, the most powerful Council representatives sat in a specially designed containment area. Drestal's crystalline form had lost much of its luster. Zelthar's forearms were folded in what humans recognized as a defensive posture. "The charges are as follows," White continued. "Unprovoked aggression against a peaceful diplomatic mission, willful murder of diplomatic personnel, falsification of official records regarding first contact, and perhaps most seriously, the attempted suppression of an emerging civilization." Major Jack Bennett limped to the witness stand. 5 years had passed since he escaped the Council's attack, but his injuries remained a visible reminder of that day. "Major Bennett," White began, "please share your account of the events at first contact." Bennett recounted the attack with precise detail. As he spoke, holographic displays showed recovered data from the shuttle's recording devices. The evidence was damning. "The Council representatives claimed our ship contained banned technology," Bennett explained. "This was a fabrication. Our vessel had been scanned and cleared upon approach. The attack was premeditated." Throughout the chamber, translation devices ensured every species understood his testimony. Many Council members shifted uncomfortably as they watched the unedited footage of Zoltar warships destroying the defenseless Earth vessel. Director Patricia Watson took the stand next. Unlike Bennett, she had not been present during the attack, but her testimony served a different purpose. "In the 5 years since the unprovoked assault on our diplomatic mission, we discovered something disturbing," Watson stated. "Earth was not the first." She activated a data projection showing evidence recovered from Council archives during the takeover of Nexus Prime. 3 other civilizations suffered similar fates within the past century alone. Species deemed too aggressive or unpredictable were either contained or eliminated entirely. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many junior Council species appeared shocked by these revelations. "The Council leadership," Watson continued, "established a systematic policy of suppressing any species that might eventually challenge their authority. This policy was never shared with the full Council membership. The evidence was overwhelming. Council records, secured during the human takeover, documented centuries of manipulation, containment, and occasionally elimination of promising young species. As the proceedings continued, representatives from these other victimized species came forward to testify. The Novan delegate described how their civilization had been forced to abandon space exploration after a mysterious accident destroyed their primary research facility. The Tellurians shared how Council advisors had deliberately sabotaged their technological development. Each of these interventions, Bennett explained, followed the same pattern. The targeted species was deemed a potential threat, not because of actual aggression, but because their development trajectory suggested they might one day become equals. The most damning testimony came from an unexpected source. Calamore, a junior Viridian representative, broke ranks with the Council leadership. "I can no longer remain silent," Calamore stated, crystal form trembling slightly. "For 3 centuries I have witnessed the Elder Council manipulate and suppress emerging species. I have seen records altered, evidence destroyed, and peaceful civilizations contained, all to maintain our dominance." Admiral Franklin watched from his position near the Earth delegation. "This was never just about us," he said quietly to Lieutenant Garcia. "This was about justice for all suppressed species." Garcia nodded. "The Council's biggest mistake wasn't attacking us. It was believing we would respond as they would, with vengeance rather than justice. Zelthar finally requested permission to address the tribunal. When granted, the four-armed diplomat rose slowly. The actions taken against Earth were regrettable, he began, choosing his words carefully. But you must understand, the Council has maintained galactic peace for millennia, sometimes difficult decisions that included murder and suppression. White interrupted. Your own legal code states that peaceful contact must be maintained with all sentient species. You violated your own highest laws. The proceedings continued for 3 days. Evidence mounted, witnesses testified, and the full extent of Council manipulation became clear to the watching galaxy. Species that had accepted Council authority for centuries now questioned everything they had been told. On the 4th day, Earth presented its terms. Director Watson stood before the assembled delegates. Earth does not seek revenge or dominance, she stated clearly. We seek justice and reformation. Our terms are as follows. First, the Galactic Council will be restructured with equal representation for all species, regardless of technological development. Second, reparations will be made to civilizations harmed by Council actions. Third, a binding non-aggression pact will be established protecting emerging species from interference. She paused, looking directly at the Council leadership. To demonstrate that these terms are not negotiable, Admiral Franklin will now provide a demonstration. On the main view screen, the feed shifted to show 3 major Council homeworlds. As the assembly watched, planetary defense shields around all 3 worlds simultaneously flickered and went offline. Your shields have been temporarily disabled, Franklin explained from the Vindicator. We could have targeted weapon systems, government centers, or critical infrastructure. We chose shields to make our point clear. Earth has the capability to enforce these terms, but chooses cooperation instead. The message was unmistakable. Humanity could have chosen destruction, but instead sought justice. Throughout Council space, species watched in amazement as the supposedly primitive humans demonstrated both superior technology and superior ethics. The Council representatives conferred briefly before Dresistal responded. We accept your terms. The Galactic Council will be reformed as proposed. As the formal proceedings concluded, Bennett approached Zelthar. You were wrong about us, he said simply. Humans aren't defined by our capacity for violence, but by our capacity for justice. Zelthar's alien features were difficult to read, but his voice carried unmistakable humility. We have much to learn from your species, he admitted. Perhaps that is why we feared you. Throughout the galaxy, a new era had begun. The Council's judgment had been overturned, not by force alone, but by humanity's commitment to justice for all species. 1 year after the Nexus Prime Tribunal, representatives from over 100 species gathered on Earth for the first assembly of the reformed Galactic Alliance. The United Nations Plaza in New York had been expanded to include environmental accommodations for diverse alien physiologies. It was a powerful symbol. Earth hosting the very organization that had once sought to contain humanity. Ambassador Laura Martinez stood at the podium, her expression serene as she surveyed the assembled delegates. As Earth's primary representative to the new alliance, she carried the responsibility of guiding humanity's integration into galactic society. Welcome to Earth, she began, her voice carrying through translation devices to every delegate. 1 year ago, we came together under difficult circumstances. Today we meet as equals, partners in building a more just galactic community. The transformation of interstellar politics had been remarkable. The former Council hierarchy had been dismantled, replaced by a representative system where developing worlds held equal voting power to ancient civilizations. Species previously marginalized now contributed their unique perspectives and technologies. In orbit above Earth, Captain Ryan Williams commanded the Harmony, the first joint species peacekeeping vessel. Its crew included humans working alongside members of 23 other species, including notably Viridians and Zoltars. Approaching Earth space, reported his Zoltar navigation officer. Request permission to enter standard orbit. Williams nodded. Send the request and prepare the honor guard. We'll be participating in the opening ceremony. On the bridge, humans and aliens worked in seamless coordination. What made this accomplishment remarkable wasn't just the technology that allowed different species to communicate and function together. It was the willingness to move past historical grievances. "Hard to believe a year ago we were enemies," commented his human first officer. The Zoltar navigator's mechanical exoskeleton shifted slightly. "My people have learned much from yours, Captain." The concept of proportional justice was unfamiliar to us. Below on Earth's surface, Director Patricia Watson met with Admiral Franklin in her office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Though both still served in advisory roles, much of their daily work now involved facilitating technological and cultural exchange with other species. "The Novans have accepted our assistance in rebuilding their space program," Watson reported, reviewing data on her screen. "Their engineers arrive next month to study our propulsion systems." Franklin nodded approvingly. "And the Tellurians?" "Already, integrating our shield technology with their defense systems. They've offered medical knowledge in exchange. Their regeneration techniques could revolutionize human healthcare." The Admiral smiled slightly. "We've accomplished more through cooperation in 1 year than the old Council forced through dominance in centuries." In the Grand Hall of the new York Alliance Center, Major Jack Bennett, now Ambassador Bennett, led a delegation of former Council representatives on a tour. His limp remained, a physical reminder of humanity's first disastrous contact, but he showed no bitterness toward the aliens who followed him. "Earth's greatest strength," he explained to them, "wasn't our technology or our military strategy. It was our capacity to unify despite our differences. Before your attack, we were divided by national interests, cultural disagreements, and historical conflicts." Zelthar, who now served as a junior representative rather than a council leader, listened attentively. The four-armed diplomat had requested this assignment specifically, seeing it as an opportunity for atonement. "You suggest that our aggression inadvertently helped humanity advance?" Zelthar asked. Bennett considered this. "It gave us a common purpose. For the first time in our history, all humans worked together without reservation. If you had simply welcomed us as equals, we might still be arguing among ourselves about how to approach galactic politics." In one of the building's side chambers, Dr. Alan Cooper met with scientists from a dozen worlds. The technological exchange program had become one of the Alliance's most successful initiatives. Species shared knowledge freely, with safeguards ensuring no technology would be used for aggression. "The truth is," Cooper admitted to his colleagues, "some of our miraculous technology was deliberate misdirection. We wanted the Council to believe we were more advanced than we actually were." A Viridian scientist's crystalline form sparkled with what humans had learned was amusement. "Psychological warfare. You made us believe you could neutralize our most powerful weapons." Cooper smiled. "We could disable some systems, yes, but the simultaneous shield failures on 3 homeworlds, clever timing and theatrical presentation, we couldn't have maintained those disruptions for more than a few minutes." This revelation spread throughout the gathering. Humans had bluffed their way to victory, combining real technological achievements with strategic deception. Rather than diminishing respect for humanity, this cleverness only increased it. As the day's formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Martinez unveiled a memorial in the Alliance Center's atrium. A simple stone monument bore the names of every crew member lost during the attack on Earth's first diplomatic mission. "We remember those who sought peace and found conflict," Martinez said solemnly. "Their sacrifice ultimately led to a stronger, more just galactic community." Representatives from all species placed tokens of respect before the memorial, including former council leaders who had authorized the attack. It was a powerful moment of reconciliation. In a garden designed to accommodate diverse species, a young human child named Ben played with a Zoltar youth. Though physically different, one a small boy, the other a miniature version of the exoskeleton-wearing adults, they had found common ground in a game involving pattern recognition. Admiral Franklin watched them from a distance. "That's the future we fought for," he said to Watson, who had joined him. "Not domination or revenge, but understanding and cooperation." The Zoltar child presented the human boy with a small mechanical device, explaining how it worked with gestures that transcended language barriers. In return, the human shared a handheld game, demonstrating its functions with equal enthusiasm. The Council's greatest mistake, Watson observed, wasn't attacking us. It was assuming we would respond as they would have, with cruelty rather than justice. As evening fell on the first day of the new Galactic Alliance assembly, Earth glowed with lights visible from orbit. Ships from dozens of worlds moved in carefully coordinated patterns above the planet, once deemed too primitive for galactic society. The galaxy had learned that civilization isn't measured by technological advancement alone, but by how that technology is applied. Justice tempered with mercy. Strength paired with restraint. These were the values humanity had demonstrated when given the power to destroy their enemies. And in demonstrating these values, humans had found not just their place among the stars, but their purpose, helping build a galactic community worthy of all sentient beings.